Welcome back to CoinAgeEra, the place where forgotten coins turn into legendary treasures. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of Canadian 1-cent coins, and trust me, these are not just ordinary pennies. From the beautiful 1975 Canadian 1 cent to the classic 1978 penny, the memorable 1993 maple leaf cent, and finally the legendary 1867 to 1967 Centennial Bird Penny with the famous dove design on the back. Every coin in today's video carries its own unique story, history, and collector value. Some of these coins circulated through the hands of millions of Canadians for everyday shopping, while others became historic symbols that celebrated important moments in Canada's past. Over the years, collectors started searching for rare errors, shiny uncirculated versions, and high-grade examples, turning simple 1-cent coins into valuable collector items worth far more than their original face value. And the most exciting part, one of these coins was specially created to celebrate 100 years of Canadian Confederation, making it one of the most iconic pennies ever released in Canada's history. So get ready, because today we'll explore the history, hidden details, and surprising worth of all four amazing Canadian coins. The 1975 Canadian 1 cent is more than just a small copper penny. It's a coin that represents an important era in Canada's history. During the 1970s, pennies were still heavily used in daily life across the country. People used them for shopping, public telephones, candy, newspapers, and almost every small purchase imaginable. Because of this, millions of 1975 pennies entered circulation, making them one of the most recognized Canadian coins of that decade. On the front of the coin appears the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machin. At that time, Canada was still closely connected to the British Crown, and her image appeared on nearly all Canadian coins. The reverse side features the famous maple leaf twig design created by G. Kruger Gray, a symbol that became one of the most iconic designs in Canadian coin history. What makes the 1975 penny especially interesting to collectors is its rich bronze color and the different conditions in which the coin can still be found today. Many coins became worn out after years of circulation, but a few survived in beautiful uncirculated condition with bright red surfaces. Those rare high-quality examples are the ones collectors hunt for today. Another fascinating fact is that during the 1970s, the Royal Canadian Mint was improving coin production techniques, which means some 1975 pennies were struck with sharper details and stronger luster than others. This created major interest among coin collectors who carefully examine even tiny differences between coins. Even though it was once only worth a single cent, the 1975 Canadian penny slowly became a nostalgic piece of Canadian heritage. For many people, this coin brings back memories of old Canadian stores, pocket change, and a time before the penny eventually disappeared from Canadian circulation decades later. As the years passed, the 1975 Canadian 1 cent slowly transformed from an everyday circulation coin into a collectible piece of Canadian history. What once rolled around in pockets, jars, and cash registers started gaining attention from collectors who realized that older Canadian pennies were disappearing from circulation. When Canada officially stopped producing pennies decades later, interest in vintage 1-cent coins became even stronger. One of the biggest reasons collectors love the 1975 penny is its classic bronze composition. Unlike many modern coins that feel lighter or cheaper, these older Canadian cents had a rich copper appearance that gave them a beautiful shine when preserved properly. Some uncirculated examples still display an original bright red color, known among collectors as red condition coins. These are considered much more desirable because most circulated pennies eventually turned dark brown after years of use. Collectors also search for coins with strong details, smooth surfaces, and very few scratches. Since millions of pennies were heavily used in stores and vending machines, Finding a near-perfect 1975 cent today is far more difficult than people expect. That's why grading companies sometimes give extremely high prices too. Top-condition examples preserved for decades. Another interesting detail is that many Canadians kept pennies in jars or old piggy banks without realizing some could become collectible in the future. Years later, coin hunters began checking those old collections carefully, hoping to discover rare high-grade coins or unusual minting varieties. This turned ordinary-looking pennies into exciting treasure hunting items for collectors around the world. The design itself also plays a huge role in the coin's popularity. The maple leaves on the reverse side symbolize Canada's national identity and patriotic pride. For decades, that simple design represented the country on one of its most used coins. Because of this, many collectors consider the 1975 penny not just money, but a small historical symbol of everyday Canadian life during the 1970s. Value and worth of the 1975 Canadian penny. Common circulated coins usually sell for around 10 cents to $1. Nice uncirculated examples can reach $10 to $50. Bright red high-grade coins may sell for $100 to $500 plus depending on condition. Rare certified top-condition examples have reached even higher auction prices among serious collectors. Today, the 1975 Canadian 1 cent remains one of the most nostalgic and recognizable Canadian pennies ever made. What was once only a single cent has now become a collectible coin admired by history lovers and coin hunters across the world. After the famous 1975 penny, Canada continued its long tradition of producing beautiful 1 cent coins, and in 1978, another memorable Canadian penny entered circulation. At first glance, the 1978 Canadian 1 cent may look similar to earlier pennies, but this coin belongs to an important period when Canada was modernizing its economy while still holding onto classic coin designs. Loved by the public, during the late 1970s, pennies were everywhere in Canada. People carried them daily for shopping, transportation, vending machines, and small purchases. Because inflation was slowly rising, many people didn't pay much attention to 1 cent coins anymore. Yet millions of these pennies quietly became part of Canadian everyday life. Today, however, collectors look back at them as important pieces of history from a completely different era. The front of the coin once again features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, symbolizing Canada's connection to the monarchy. Meanwhile, the reverse side proudly displays the iconic maple leaf twig design, one of the most recognizable images in Canadian coinage history. What makes the 1978 penny interesting is its strong strike, quality, and beautiful bronze appearance. Some coins were produced with excellent detail and shiny surfaces, making them highly attractive to collectors today. Over time, many coins became damaged or darkened through circulation, but a few survived in stunning condition with original mint luster still visible decades later. Another reason collectors enjoy this coin is the nostalgia connected to it. For many Canadians, the 1978 penny represents childhood memories. Old cash registers, school lunches, candy shops, and the final years before technology completely changed everyday shopping, even though it was only worth 1 cent. This small coin silently witnessed an entire generation of Canadian history. As time moved forward, the 1978 Canadian 1 cent slowly became more than just spare change. After years of heavy circulation, many of these pennies disappeared into old drawers, coin jars, and forgotten collections. When Canada eventually ended penny production, collectors suddenly began paying much closer attention to older 1 cent coins like the 1978 cent. One of the biggest attractions of this coin is its classic bronze composition and deep copper shine. Freshly minted 1978 pennies had a bright reddish color that looked beautiful under light. But over decades, most circulated coins turned darker brown because of oxidation and everyday use. Because of this, collectors now search for rare, red examples that still keep their original mint color. These coins are far more valuable than ordinary worn pennies. The Royal Canadian Mint was also known for producing high-quality coins during this era, which means some 1978 cents have very sharp maple leaf details and strong luster. Collectors carefully inspect the surface, lettering, and overall strike quality because tiny differences can greatly affect value. Coins with fewer scratches, smoother surfaces, and stronger details are always considered more desirable. Another fascinating fact is that millions of people once ignored these pennies completely. Many were tossed into jars or lost in drawers, because nobody imagined a 1-cent coin could ever become collectible. But years later, coin hunters started discovering that high-grade Canadian pennies from the 1970s were becoming harder to find. This turned the 1978-1 into a nostalgic treasure for collectors who love vintage Canadian coinage. The maple leaf design on the reverse side also gives the coin a strong national identity. For decades, this symbol represented Canada on everyday currency, making the coin instantly recognizable across the country. Even today, many collectors admire the simplicity and beauty of the design, especially on well-preserved examples. Value and worth of the 1978 Canadian penny. Regular circulated coins are usually worth around 10 cents to $1. Uncirculated examples may sell for $10 to $60. Bright red high-grade coins can reach $100 to $400 plus. Rare certified mint state examples may sell for even higher prices at auctions. Today, the 1978 Canadian 1-cent remains a beloved collectible that reminds people of a time when pennies still played an important role in everyday Canadian life. What once seemed like an ordinary coin has now become a small but by the time the 1993 Canadian 1-cent was released, the world was already changing rapidly. Technology was growing, modern shopping was becoming more common, and many people had started paying less attention to small coins like the penny. But even during this modern era, the Canadian 1-cent coin continued to remain an important symbol of the country's everyday life. The 1993 penny carried the same classic maple leaf twig design that Canadians had recognized for decades. On the front appeared the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, while the reverse proudly displayed the famous maple leaves created by G. Kruger Gray. Even though the design stayed traditional, the 1993 cent belonged to a completely new generation of Canadian coinage. What makes this coin especially interesting is the period in which it was made. During the early 1990s, Canada was moving toward modernization, and coin production methods were improving. The Royal Canadian Mint produced millions of pennies that year, but only a limited number survived in exceptional condition. Many coins quickly became scratched, darkened, or damaged after years of circulation in stores, vending machines, and cash registers. Collectors today often search for 1993 pennies with bright original red color and smooth surfaces. Coins that still look fresh from the mint are much harder to find than people expect. Some examples show beautiful shine and sharp details that make them stand out from ordinary circulated coins. Because of this, high-grade versions of the 1993 penny are becoming increasingly popular among collectors. Another reason this coin attracts attention is nostalgia. For many people, the 1993 penny represents memories from the 1990s, a decade of changing technology, old-school shopping, and the final years before digital payments slowly began replacing physical coins, even though it was only worth 1 cent. This little coin became part of millions of everyday Canadian moments. As the years passed, the 1993 Canadian 1-cent slowly became a collectible reminder of the final golden years of the Canadian penny. At the time, nobody imagined these coins would one day disappear from circulation forever. People used them daily without thinking twice, dropping them into vending machines, saving them in piggy banks, or leaving them forgotten inside drawers and jars. But after Canada officially ended penny production years later, collectors began searching for older 1-cent coins with renewed interest. One of the most fascinating things about the 1993 penny is how condition completely changes its value. Since most coins circulated heavily, finding examples with original mint shine is surprisingly difficult today. Collectors especially look for coins with bright red surfaces because many pennies naturally turn darker brown over time. A fully red 1993 penny with sharp details and almost no scratches can be worth far more than ordinary circulated examples. The Royal Canadian Mint also improved production quality during this era, meaning some 1993 pennies were struck with excellent detail and smooth surfaces. Coin collectors carefully inspect the lettering, maple leaves, and overall luster to determine how well a coin was preserved. Even tiny marks or discoloration can reduce value significantly, which makes flawless examples extremely desirable among serious collectors. Another reason the 1993 cent remains popular is the emotional connection many Canadians have with it. This coin reminds people of the 1990s, a time before smartphones, online payments, and digital wallets became part of daily life. Back then, pennies still mattered in every small transaction, and people rarely imagined that one day the humble 1-cent coin would become history itself. Because so many coins were either damaged or lost over time, high-grade examples became increasingly difficult to find. This transformed an ordinary circulation coin into a collectible item hunted by coin enthusiasts around the world. Today, collectors continue searching old collections and coin rolls, hoping to discover rare near-perfect examples hidden for decades. Value and worth of the 1993 Canadian penny. Common circulated coins are usually worth around 10 cents to $1. Nice uncirculated examples may sell for $10 to $40. Bright red high-grade coins can reach $100 to $300 plus. Rare certified mint state examples may achieve even higher auction prices. Today, the 1993 Canadian 1-cent stands as one of the most nostalgic modern Canadian pennies, a small coin that once seemed ordinary, but now represents the end of an important chapter in Canadian coin history. Now we come to one of the most famous and beloved Canadian pennies ever created, the legendary 1867-1967 Canadian Centennial 1-cent coin. Unlike ordinary pennies, this special coin was released to celebrate 100 years of Canadian Confederation, marking the country's centennial anniversary in 1967. Because of this historic celebration, the Royal Canadian Mint created a completely different reverse design that instantly made the coin unforgettable. Instead of the usual maple leaf twig, the back of the coin features a beautiful flying dove, often called the bird penny by collectors. The design was created by famous Canadian artist Alex Colville, who designed several special centennial coins for Canada in 1967. The flying bird symbolized peace, freedom, and national pride during this important moment in Canadian history. When these coins entered circulation in 1967, Canadians were excited to see something completely new in their pocket change. The country was celebrating its 100th birthday with festivals, events, and patriotic celebrations everywhere. And this penny became a small but meaningful part of that historic year. Millions of people kept the coin as a souvenir because they knew it represented a once-in-a-lifetime national celebration. The front of the coin still features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, but the unique bird design on the reverse is what made this coin legendary among collectors. Even today, many people consider it one of the most beautiful 1-cent coins Canada ever produced. Another fascinating detail is that the Centennial penny was created during a time when Canadian coin designs were becoming more artistic and symbolic. Instead of using traditional patterns only, the Royal Canadian Mint wanted coins that could tell a story about Canada itself, and the flying dove perfectly captured the spirit of the nation's 100-year celebration. As the years passed, the 1867-1967 Canadian Centennial Bird Penny became far more than just a 1-cent coin. It turned into one of the most recognizable commemorative coins in Canadian history. Many Canadians who lived during the Centennial celebrations kept this coin safely as a memory of the country's 100th anniversary, which is one reason so many people still feel emotionally connected to it today. What truly makes this coin special is the famous flying dove design on the reverse side. Unlike ordinary pennies with maple leaves, this artistic image gave the coin a completely different appearance. The bird seems to fly freely across the coin, symbolizing hope, peace, and the future of Canada. Because of its unique design, collectors around the world often call it one of the most beautiful small coins Canada ever produced. Even though millions of centennial pennies were made, finding high-quality examples today is becoming harder every year. Many coins became scratched, faded, or darkened after decades of circulation. However, some people carefully preserved their coins from the beginning because they understood the historical importance of the centennial celebration. Those well-preserved examples are now highly desired among collectors. Collectors especially search for coins with strong details on the bird, clean surfaces, and bright original color. Coins that still show full luster and sharp design. Details are considered far more valuable than worn circulated examples. Some collectors even spend years searching for perfect mint state versions to complete their Canadian coin collections. Another reason this coin became legendary is its connection to 1967 itself, one of the most patriotic years in Canadian history. Across the country, Canadians celebrated with parades, exhibitions, music festivals, and national events. This small penny quietly became a symbol of that unforgettable moment in time. Every time collectors hold the Centennial Bird Penny, they're holding a tiny piece of Canada's 100-year celebration. Value and worth of the 1867 to 1967 Centennial Bird Penny. Common circulated coins are usually worth around 25 cents to $2. Nice uncirculated examples may sell for $10 to $50. High-grade red coins can reach $100 to $500 plus. Rare certified top-condition examples may achieve even higher auction prices among collectors. Today, the 1867-1967 Canadian Centennial Penny remains one of the most iconic and nostalgic Canadian coins ever created. What was once just a simple 1-cent commemorative coin has now become a treasured historical collectible, admired across the world.